و سلام به همگی. امید که ماه رمضان و رخصتی ها بخیر گذاشته باشه و تمام اعضای فامیل جور و صحتمند باشین. و یک جلسه دیگه میپردازیم و جلسه امشب ما درس باقی مانده لکچری که در شروع رمضان ما داشتیم و تکمیل نتونستیم، Business in Global Environment. Okay, before we start to tonight's lecture, so far we have had 2 months of lectures, and now we know much about business. Now we understand what is business, what are the crucial and important factors and elements that are necessary for a business. Now we understand in what form, in what type we can do business, we can start business. If we have a full capability and we have enough money, we can go individually and start business as a sole proprietor. And in case we are short in terms of money or skills and we need support from others, then we can partner with others. And if we are good and we are sound at doing business, then we can also go as a corporation. Besides that, we also understand what are the different environments of business: internal environment, external environment. What are some important elements that internally affect us, and also some factors that are associated with the business internationally or externally. In this chapter, we are going to study about the international or global environment of a business. How a business can go internationally, cross the national borders, enter to international market and do the business. What are the crucial and important aspects for doing business internationally, and what factors to consider while doing business internationally. However, some of the parts were covered in the previous lecture. If you remember, we talked about international business and globalization. Both are doing business internationally, but a minor difference between international business and globalization is that in international business, the trade occurs in which goods, services, or resources going from one country to another country. For example, we import some goods, some materials, some services from one country to another, and vice versa. We export materials, goods, and services from other country. While in globalization, it is more than that. In this, we share our culture, our ideas, our beliefs with other people, and people by themselves travel, go and work there. And this is more comprehensive than international business. Corporation and business gain competitive advantages. We also talked about competitive advantages and absolute advantages. Now we understand what is absolute advantage. Absolute advantages when an entity or a business is the only source of a particular product, then it is said to be having absolute advantage. When there is no competitor and there is only one producer of any product. And comparative advantages when two firm produces two goods, and firm A is specialized in product A and firm B is specialized in product B, then it is said to be having comparative advantage in product A over product B. And it is suggested that any business that is specialized and can produce more as compared to other products, that business should go producing for that product in which the business has comparative advantages over other businesses. Then we talked about global market and business opportunities. What are the benefits that people, countries, and firms gain from entering into international market. The first one is access to factor of production. Suppose something are missing in our countries or it is scarce, we have very less amount of that, then it is better to go for that to another countries. And this is one of the reasons that countries, businesses seek opportunities in other countries and they enter to that market. For example, why Western companies are interested to invest in some Asian countries. One reason might be cheap labor. In Western countries, labor has got a lot of rights, some social welfare benefits, and as compared to their expenses in their home countries, they can find cheap labor in Asian countries because of poverty and unemployment. People are working much cheaper as compared to labor in their own countries. Innovation in ideas, of course, people will try to highlight areas and target those unmet needs or produce some unique products or provide some unique services. That is also one reason. For example, Netherlands engineers are famous. They are specialized in hydraulic engineering, and most of the countries, those are working in hydraulic engineering, they request engineers from Netherlands and they make contracts. Risk reduction may be another factor. Suppose there is a business that is dependent on one product. If the product is failed, then there is the risk that the business will diminish or finish. To avoid that risk, businesses tend to partner in many businesses and expand their level of opportunities. And if in case there is limitation in one area, that might be covered by another area. The business might be doing good in another area. In this way, businesses can reduce their risks. How the international business or international trade is measured? There is common factors. One is export and imports. Export, of course, the goods going from country A to country B and money comes to country A. And import is the opposite side of that. And any country, when from broad perspective in the economic perspective, when they measure their trade, they simply subtract the amount going out, the outflow from inflow. The money comes in and money goes out. The money goes out or the money outflow is subtracted from the export, and the remaining balance is called balance of trade. And this can be positive number or negative number. Of course, if the number of export is greater, then in that case, we will get a positive number that is ideal for any country. Every country tries to import less and export more so that at the end of the day, they get a positive balance. And in case some countries, some economies, those are dependent on the imports like Afghanistan, they do not have their domestic products at the level that they can fulfill their domestic needs and get the extra production to other countries, then of course they will get balance in negative figures because they import more and they export less. Or maybe some other factors will also can cause such situation, like if some country is in the war, of course no one will tend to business with those countries because there is risk of losing all of their goods and assets. In that case, that country cannot export to other countries, and of course, as per their needs, they will import from other countries, and in that case, they will get negative balance of trade. And as we said, when we get a positive number, that is in technical term, it is called trade surplus. Means we get more money as compared we paid to the importers. And the opposite side is trade deficit, the shortage, and the money we received, we paid more than that money we received from our export, and in that case, we have got trade deficit. Balance of payment is also same as the balance of trade. The goods or services we produce to other countries, we export to other countries. In return, we get money from our export. And when we import some services, some goods, we have to pay that money. And the balance that we get is the balance of payment. In their case is also similar to the balance of trade. Either we get surplus or we get deficit. Now, what are the strategies available going abroad, going global or international? We will review some of the strategies we covered in the previous lecture, and we will highlight the new one. The first one is import and export. You now understand what is exporting means when we are taking our goods or services from our country to other countries, and in return we receive money. That is exporting. And importing is the opposite of that. Whenever we need some goods or services from abroad, from other countries, in that case we get those services in goods. In return we have to pay. This is the easiest way. This is the least risky way, because in our country we make production, we use our domestic resources, either human resources or tools and equipments, or the natural resources, and we produce goods and then we send to other countries, and in return we get money. And also, if we need some goods, we do not need to make a production plant, we do not need to get the raw material and take all those risks and produce the goods we need, but we get the finished goods, the working goods that is ready to use. And this is the easiest and simplest way. Of course, license is required by the home country, and the trade relationship with that country is required, and we have to make ourselves aware of all those rules and regulation while sending our product to other countries. For example, if we are exporting goods to non-Muslim countries, we should consider their needs, their preferences, their languages. And on the other hand, if we exporting some food items or some products that is filtered from religion perspective, then we have to take all those factors into account, and we have to make our goods according to their requirements. So this one was the first one, export and export. Of course, export and import both have their advantages and some disadvantages. Like the first one is exporting is the quickest and least expensive means to enter to the global market. Like, you do not need to take a lot of money to another country and invest. Just you get your finished goods and take it to the other country. So the major disadvantages, maybe exporting goods can mean losing control of products. Of course, once the product cross the border, then that is out of our control. Anything can happen to that product that could be used against our fame or our credit, our etibar. Of course, that can damage our credit. Import also have some advantages and disadvantages. For example, when we are importing, increased trade efficiency by finding low-cost import as opposed to producing them domestically. Suppose we have scarce resource, or some resources are not sufficient, and if we produce it in our country, it costs a lot, and we can get it from other countries who have some absolute or comparative advantages. There is some disturbance in someone's mic. Could you please turn off your mic? And we can get that product cheaper than that we produce it domestically. Could you please check your mic? That is.
شده گلکسی خوبش باشه متوسط نداره خوبش نشان بده واسه نیست اصلی پاسچو شو موزونیاس یا
Mr. Tasal Hashimi, your mic is. while you are in the class, please be attentive and do not disturb the environment for others. We talked about the advantages and disadvantages of import and export. The second one is outsourcing and offshoring. There is a minor difference between outsourcing and offshoring. Both have the same approach. Like outsourcing is contracts out a business process to another party and may include either or both foreign and domestic contracting. Suppose you are working here and you just outsource your customer services. In most of the Western countries, they outsourced their customer services to the countries where they get cheap labor. You can also outsource your finance, admin, and accounting services to another countries, or maybe in another to another organization inside your country. Most of the companies do not hire IT employees. They outsource their IT services, and now with the help of technology, those IT experts connects your computers, your IT system from their countries through internet, and they can resolve your troubleshoot or problems from distances. While offshoring is the relocation of a business process from one country to another. In this approach, the entire business is taken out, their physical structure, their work, their processes to another countries. Like Sony was a Japanese company, and they offshored their operation from Japan to Malaysia. Now Sony is operating entirely in Malaysia. So this was a minor difference between outsourcing and offshoring. And of course, both offshoring and outsourcing has their positives and negatives. The next strategy could be licensing. In licensing agreement, nowadays, most of the businesses are operating. One company, instead of producing their own goods, they just take license from the licensor for the product. That product has a worldwide demand, and they pay a fee to the licensor, and they gain their name, their trademark, images, patent, and the formula and techniques, and they produces goods on the licensor's standard in their home countries. For example, Habib Gulzar is a local business in Afghanistan, and they have licensed the Coke products from Coke, and now he has the monopoly here, and no other companies can produce those goods, and no one can import those goods to Afghanistan. This is the advantages that Habib Gulzar is entertaining. And of course, Coke, when has given license to Habib Gulzar, Coke is also enjoying a fee from the sales of products in Afghanistan. Franchising is another strategy when some well-established and famous products that has got international fame. Now people try to get a license. This is also a form of license. The person who gets a license is called franchisee. In the business who provides an agreement or license, that is called franchisor. And this is similar to the Coke and Habib Gulzar case. In this case, the skills, the techniques, the knowledge, the processes, and also the logo, the name is used in the other countries, and there is a fee, that annual fee that is paid by the franchisee to the franchisor. In both the licensing and franchising cases, the licensor or franchisor has some right to check and have some control over the business in other countries in order to maintain the quality. Of course, licensing and franchising also has their positives and negatives. Some advantages are there also, and some disadvantages are also there. The next one is foreign direct investment, FDI. It is a different form of business. In this form, the controlling ownership in a business enterprises in one country by entity based in another country. This is the most intensive approach to reach a global market. For example, when Toyota has got fame and their demand has been increased in many countries toward their products, and they were unable to fulfill all those demands. To respond to those demands, they decided to open their factories in another countries and start production there. And in that case, this company risks all their capitals. They take a lot of money and invest in other countries and have to adopt all those government rules and regulation. The company has to adopt to the culture, to the employment condition, to the labor law of those countries, and operate in that country. And in foreign FDIs, it can take place in two forms. One is greenfield venture, and another is merger or acquisition. In greenfield ventures, the company enters to a foreign market and establishes a new subsidiary as a set of business, like Toyota entered to Europe, to Asia, to Africa, to America and United States, and they started their own businesses. For example, BMW also started their own plant in South Carolina, USA. While in merger or acquisition, merger is a form of business when two companies get together and form the third one. In this form, the original business remain independent and they form a new business. And that can be finished anytime. It depends on the contract. While in acquisition, one business take over another business. In this form, one business only survive in the other business name, logo, and all other aspects and factors are finished. So in foreign direct investment can take place in these two forms. Of course, a merger or acquisition involve the purchase of assets such as property, plant, and equipments. In this form, the advantage is that we can get the equipments that are already operating somewhere, and we can use those in our favor. It is a key to successful merger or acquisition is paying the right price for the company. And it is important to, while valuation a company, we should be careful. And what is the disadvantage? What are the disadvantages? It is a huge investment in time commitment. It is risky. Greenfield venture take times. It is not easy to do it over a day or a week or a month. It will take longer time. Companies can overpay in mergers, and there is the risk that in some cases the company will pay more than the actual price. So this is one of the disadvantages. This is one of the examples of FDI. Toyota is a corporation that is originally located in Japan. Now it has got a lot of demand around the globe, and it has 50 production plants around the globe. In all continents, it has got their production plants, and they have got 7 other coordinating companies around the globe. Like there are some companies, they are working for Toyota, and Toyota is controlling that. Like Habib also partnered with Toyota. Habib has a showroom in Kabul, and they are selling Toyota new vehicles. They provide spare parts or original parts. They also have got a workshop. They provide services. So that is not a production plant in Afghanistan, but it is a coordinating company here. So if we look to this example, Toyota has got 57 organizations or businesses around the globe. This is huge. One thing I recommend you to watch Toyota documentary in the YouTubes that is available in English and also in Persian languages. They focus on the history of Toyota, how Toyota started as Toyota, as a manufacturing company to produce other goods, and then they try to make automobile or vehicles, and how they struggled at the beginning, and after or during the World War II, how they survived, and after World War II, how they expand their businesses around the globe. The next strategy to go abroad or international is strategic alliance. It is formed between two or more corporations, each based in their home countries for a specific period of time. For example, in strategic alliance, company A and company combine their respective resources, capabilities, and core competencies to generate mutual interest in designing, manufacturing, or distributing goods or services. The joint venture is a very good example of a strategic alliance. What is joint venture? A joint venture establishes a new business that is owned by two or more independent businesses. The most common joint venture involves two companies that are equal partner in new firm. They remain committed to the agreement, and they invest money in resources while sharing control of newly formed firm. They explain all the terms and conditions in the contract, and they do business by partnering. In all joint venture, in merger, two companies become one, and one of the companies often survive while other disappears. And in joint, in merger, only one company remain independent and the other company disappears, while in joint venture, two company unites to achieve a specific goal, such as building a third company, working for a project or marketing services. In joint venture, both company remain separate and enact. And if joint venture is finished or terminated, then each business go their own ways and perform as their previous work they were doing, and they use their own the old name. In only joint venture is finished, while in merger, one company while mergering is disappeared. In strategic alliances, that was joint venture or merger, what are the advantages? Knowledge and experience of the market offered by the local partner. Like if a company coming from the international or from the Europe to Afghanistan, and they do a joint venture, the company that coming from the West will get the knowledge and experience of the local company that is operating in Afghanistan. So that is a kind of advantages for the country that is coming to another country. It also reduces each company's exposure to losses. If loss occurs, of course, the loss will be shared among the companies. One company does not have to bear all of the losses. What are the disadvantages? Conflict or control if the partner firm do not agree on business decisions. If you review the documentary or the case of Sony Ericsson, one company from Japan and another company from Europe, they joined and they have had a great success over a period of time. They enjoyed a lot of benefit, but after some time, there has been conflict over the decision makings, over the controls, and as a result, that joint venture was terminated and that was finished. In this year, there was a discussion between Honda and another vehicle automobile company in Japan, and as their market share was decreasing, and they talked over a joint venture, but conflicts or the disagreements over the control, at the end, that joint venture did not take place. Another disadvantage, risk that the partner firm will take technology or innovation and use it to become a competitor. In the history, it has been proved that two countries made agreements, they made partnerships, and as a result, when one company copied all the innovations and they have got the secret knowledge about the formulas or the technologies, at the end, that joint venture was terminated, and the company who got all those knowledges, they used all those gain knowledge in their favor. So this is also another disadvantage of joint venture. Now we studied all those approaches, all those strategies that one company, one business go internationally. Now we are going to study some forces, some causes that affect the global trade, that has influenced our global trade while we are doing our trade internationally or globally. We have to consider those forces, those factors. We cannot underrate those factors. What are those? A range of forces or factors that affects global trade are including socio-cultural differences. If we look at two countries around Afghanistan, even in the neighborhood, there are huge differences in our society, our culture, our preferences, our likes, dislikes, food styles, clothes styles. If we go far, if we compare Afghanistan with Europe, with America, then the differences gap is increased. There are huge differences. Political economy. One thing I would like to clear is that economy of each country depends on the country's politics. For example, if we take the economy of Iran, they have got a lot of resources. They have got a very good position. They have access to sea. They have a lot of minerals. But since their government in political relationship with the other countries are not very good, it affects their economy as well. And we can see their value of their currency that is way below in most of the countries who are even not comparable with the Iran in terms of economy. Exchange rate is another factor. Each country has got their own currency, and while they are doing trades, each country prefer to use their own countries. And in some currencies, the rate is not stable. There are fluctuations. And while doing business with such countries, there is always a risk of exchange losses. So that is also very much important while doing international business. Legal differences. Legal differences is also if something is legal in one country, maybe illegal in another country, then in that case, that business will face a lot of challenges and problems. Physical and environmental forces also affect infrastructure, access to the ports. Access, like Afghanistan is landlocked, they do not have access to sea. But when we are importing goods from other countries and that is coming in ships, then we are relying or dependent on other countries. We have to have very good relationship with other countries so that we can receive our goods in their seaports, and then we use vehicles or trains to bring all those goods to Afghanistan. Trade restrictions. Some countries place restrictions on trade on other countries. The live example is the recent trade war between the United States and China. They just started imposing tariff on one another, and now trade between these two countries are in very critical situation. As we talk about socio-cultural differences, language difference, custom of one country differs from another country, values. Some people in country A will value one thing, while people in country B or C will prefer other things. They will value other things. So this also will raise conflicts. They will also challenge the operation of business in other countries. Time in punctuality. In some countries, time is not so much important to people. If employees, laborers are coming to the job late or they are leaving early, there is no problem. But in other countries, it is very sensitive issue. They value their time, they value their punctuality, business norms, religious beliefs in celebrations. In some countries, even people are not letting their employees to go for 5-time prayers because they are not valuing their religious, and they are valuing their time. And those also, in some cases, that is also challenge in dealing with those challenge, and handling those challenge requires some skills. Like in Japan, number 4 is considered as unlucky, and if some people want to export their goods to Japan, they have to avoid number 4 on their products, because Japanese people do not purchase all those products on which number 4 is written. Soviet Union or the current Russia has had a period that they had control on East Europe, and due to some problems that people have had on that time, now they do not like Russian languages, and in case mistakenly some product people write international languages like English, Arabic, Persian, Turkish, and if in case mistakenly they also write some specification in Russian languages, that people will not buy those products on which Russian languages are written. So these are some example of why we should consider the socio-cultural languages, norms, and custom differences. Another one is political economy. As we said, economy is dependent on the politics of that countries, and it depends on the political and economic system together. The nature of a country political economy plays a big role in whether it is attractive to foreign business in entrepreneurship or not. Businesses do not invest in each and every country. Before doing that, they make assessment. They check whether it is in their favor or not. Historically, there has been a direct relationship between the degree of economic freedom in a country and economic growth. The more freedom, the more growth, and vice versa. Businesses prefer to invest in countries with stable governments. Why all the Western countries try to invest in India, in UAE? Because there are stability over past 3 decades, and the environment is favorable to invest in. On the other hand, in countries where there is no guarantee for their stability in the government, people do not risk their capital. As we said, exchange rate is the value of one country's currency relative to the value of another country's currencies. Exchange rate are an important consideration for companies wanting to take their businesses globally. Exchange rate fluctuate and can have a significant impact on the cost and profit. If there is no stability in one country's value due to some reasons, then there are the risk of exchange loss. Legal differences, of course, this is another crucial aspect for doing business internationally. Business must understand and conform the legal and regulatory environment of that country in which they operate, including the following various type of laws. There are huge difference between contractual laws of one country to another country. Like in some country would like to do contract with Afghanistan, of course there will be some Islamic touch, in some Islamic essence, some condition in terms that will be imposed to that business while doing business here. Trademark is also another aspect. Like in some countries, still there are lack of the infrastructures to register trademark and have close control over the fake work. Labeling, patent, these all are the example of legal differences. Like in some countries, they are decent, and they whatever they say, they do that. While in other countries, they will censor the information and they will not let you and will not provide you the freedom of expressions. In some countries, we have live examples that people cannot express their ideas freely. Physical and environmental differences. Unfortunately, Afghanistan is one of the example. We lack the infrastructure of transportation, that is train or highways. We are not having standard highways as compared to other countries. That lack of road, railway, import system needed to the transportation goods will affect the international trade. Most companies will not prefer to invest in such countries. Inadequate storage of facilities, like cold storage is one example of keeping the perishable products. In that case, we cannot bring the products that will be perished unless it is kept in cold storages. If it is not available, of course, we cannot do that business. Limited access to electricity, clean water, and sanitation. All these examples just are true in the case of Afghanistan, and maybe around the globe, there are some other unfortunate countries as well that they are lacking the physical and environmental discrepancies. Trade restriction is the last one. Not every nation welcomes the expansion of business into their countries and may restrict flow of foreign goods and services. Of course, this is also true while there is fruit season in our countries, our neighboring countries, due to some reasons, they put restriction on our products because it will affect their domestic products in the import tariffs, a type of tax imposed on goods and services coming into country. Like any country will higher their tariff so that they discourage export to their countries. Import quotas, in some cases, they will set a limit to the amount of quantity of goods or services that can be imported to a country. Like at a specific level, one country can export their goods to another countries. That export is not unlimited. That will be a specific quota or a share. Local content requirement. What is this? This is this requirement or this restriction is set by the government and require foreign businesses to use a certain quantity of local labor resources or suppliers in their operations. For example, while doing business in Arabic countries, this is their rules that is imposed by their government, that a trader from any country of Asia, like Afghanistan, if they would like to start business in any Arabic countries, they will have to partner an Arab from that country as a shareholder. However, that person will not invest their money in this business. So this is the local content requirement, and these will cause that any business will decide whether to enter to that country, enter to that market, accept all those costs or risks or not. A quick review of this lecture we covered in 2 sessions. Where while we are doing business internationally, we now understand why do nations and firms engage in global businesses. Now we have got all those reasons, we understand those reasons, and we can answer these questions, and these are some of the questions that you will have to solve it in your next exam. How do nations measure their global trade? We explain that there will be export and import, and of course their balance, whether it will be surplus or deficit. The next question might be, what are common strategies that can be used to reach or enter global market? We can do import export, we can do foreign direct investment, we can do strategic alliances, and many more. We can do joint ventures, we can use acquisition. And by using those strategies that is suitable to our situation, we can enter global market. The next question might be, what are the forces that affect global trade? And we just discussed some of the reasons. And also, what are the global trade agreements and economic organizations that regulate and promote global trade? I hope you have got some ideas from this lecture, and now you are able to explain some of the features, some of the reasons of doing business internationally.